Welcome to the Acrylic Portrait Painting Challenge Masterclass, lesson number 8, bringing your portrait home. And this is part 2 of that lesson. Glad to have you here. We're going to finish up this painting. We're going to finish up this masterclass for the Portrait Challenge. It's gone on a little while. It's actually summer as I'm recording this, but I'm excited to teach you here how to finish your portrait well. So this is where we're at right now. We've got a lot of detail into this. We've got a lot of nuances that we've incorporated over the last several lessons and bonus videos as well. And we've got the lips, with the nice little highlights, and the nose and the eyes, and it's all come together. And I have seen your portraits that you posted in the Facebook group, and I really love the work you put in. So many of the portraits I've seen have exhibited not only an excellent sense of composition and form, but also great value structure and contrast. And then I've really been blown away by the shading I've seen, the smooth sense of shading. And that's something you've achieved with the glazing technique, which for many artists is a very new way of looking at portrait painting, using these micro layers of a little bit of pigment mixed into a lot of matte medium, and then slowly building up the color and the depth, just like a Polaroid photo. You've done that, and I'm so proud of you. If you were here, I'd give you high fives, and it would just feel good having our hands connect. But this will have to do here, just virtual high fives for the effort, for everything you put in. So I'm so proud of you, and I'm looking forward to helping you bring the portrait home. That's where we sign it. That's where we put it on the wall. We're proud of it. And it's just the beginning. So, but in order to have a continuation, you must have a starting point. Perhaps you're watching this lesson and you're like, what is this portrait painting challenge? I don't know anything about it. You just stumbled upon this video on YouTube. Well, this is a portrait painting challenge. We had a whole series of lessons. You're welcome to take part. It's not too late. You can get everything that you need to start painting along with us. And I encourage you to do that below by signing up. It's completely free. So register for the Portrait Painting Challenge, and I will send you the masterclass lessons via email. You'll also get the welcome kit, which includes the reference photo with and without the grid. You'll get the palette layout guide, so you know how to put your paints in order so they don't get muddy when you're mixing them. You're also going to get all the supplies you need, the complete supplies list. You know what paint brushes you need, what paints and mediums and so on. It's all in the welcome kit. It's free, so go ahead. Link is below in the description of the video, or in the top comment. You can join that, and we'd love to have you take part. It's not too late. Catch up, do it at your own pace. All the lessons are here, so my gift to you, enjoy. But for now, let's finish up this lesson here. And before we do that, I would be remiss if I didn't ask the Lord for His help, because apart from Him I can do nothing, but with Him I can do all things. So let's pray. Father, I want to ask a blessing on these students who are watching this video, who are taking this class, who are wanting to finish up their portrait well. And I pray, Lord, that you would help me. I guess I need to make sure Does that ever happen to you? I am wondering, should I just re-record this? No, I'm not going to re-record it. I forgot to turn my phone off. Just one of those things you forget to check. And people always call when you're in the middle of something, right? That was not a call I needed to take. I think it was a telemarketer. Anyway, let's continue on here. I'm going to finish my prayer. Father, I just again want to ask a blessing on the students, that they would be able to finish the portrait with confidence, with peace. And Lord, we know, yes, there are distractions. There are distractions that come our way when we're trying to finish a painting. And I just want to pray specifically, Lord, that you would help the students watching this to overcome any distractions. And most of all, that's the internal distraction of saying, I'm not good enough, or I can't do this, or I'm not an artist. But Lord, I just want to speak against those negative thoughts and ask in the name of Jesus that you would help the artist to recognize, yes, they are artists because they took the challenge and they decided to paint a portrait, even though it's so difficult to do, and they've achieved something, Lord. They've grown as artists, as people, as a result of taking this challenge. So help them to finish it well. I pray, Lord, that I would show them the nuances that need to be shown here in these last final stages. I pray that they would be encouraged to continue on in their portrait painting and to grow in their skills. So Lord, bless this lesson in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, now we're going to dive in here again. So this is where we've left off here. I look at this painting and I'm proud of what I've accomplished. I hope you're proud of what you've accomplished too. And just to let you know, now I will get into the painting, but I just want to give you just one more kernel of inspiration from something that happened today. So just today, my daughter, around lunchtime, she wanted me to assist her in a magic show, one of the, sleight of hand magic shows. And yeah, kids love doing that stuff. And she's my 8-year-old daughter, and I just wanted to take part in that. And anyway, she asked if I could be her assistant. So we were putting on a show in front of, her mom, in front of my wife, and she had asked me to do these different things, like hold the curtain up and make a raisin box disappear and put it under my arm and move it, all these different things, say something, and she had like a step-by-step list of what she wanted me to do, and we went to do the magic act, and I didn't get everything like exactly right. She's like, "Dad, you missed this one part, and now the whole show is ruined." And my wife just said, very wisely, she said, "Well, honey, when people do these shows, even when things go wrong, they just pretend that it was kind of what they meant to do all along, and they just kind of roll with it." And I said, "Yeah, honey, you remember when I did the acting that we did it in front of our vacation Bible school, and I was doing a skit with a friend, and I said I probably got a dozen things wrong while I did that skit." But she's like, "Really?" And you're like, yeah, and I got a lot of things wrong with that, and people really loved the skit, and it went very, very well. So I just share that to share with you that you don't have to have a perfect portrait, and I would rather that you have a portrait where it's done, where you sign it and you look at it and you actually enjoy what you've created, get a sense of accomplishment. Don't look at the flaws, because we do aim for perfection, right? But we can't ever achieve it. I don't achieve it in my painting. I probably have several things in this painting that are off, okay? Now I try to minimize those things and have as few things as possible, but it's just not a possibility in this world to have a perfect portrait, to even capture a likeness perfectly. Whatever you lack in terms of portraying that likeness perfectly will be made up by your humanity, by what you put into it. That heart and soul of who you are as an artist will come out in your work. And I think that's even more so when you pray. I mean, I found that to be true. But all that to say, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just, get it done as well as you can, sign it, and then enjoy it. And I want you, when you're finished, to compliment yourself on what you like about your portrait. Really, try that. Look at it and say, I like the shading. I think I did a good job with the hair. I got the nice curls and waves in there. I think I did a really nice job in the smile. And, maybe as a point of comparison, compare what you just created to maybe some prior attempts of doing portraits. If you've done portraits before, if you've sketched or drawn or even tried painting a portrait before, compare what you've done now to what you did then, and see the growth. See how just with one portrait, how much you improved. If you've never done a portrait before and you have a painting in front of you that looks like a human being, first of all, and then it looks like Diane, who we're trying to paint, even 80-90%, hey, boy, great job. That is an accomplishment. So again, we can't achieve perfection. We're just aiming for it. All right, now I'm gonna step off of my soapbox and I'm gonna keep my feet planted on the ground here in front of my easel, and I'm gonna start painting. All right, I just wanted to share that with you because it was very much in the now moment today. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is just kind of do a few nuances, and we want to kind of clean up some edges maybe where we see any pencil marks, and look for any opportunities for highlights that could be put in. And you know, your portrait might have different needs than mine, but we're going to look for maybe some little nuances like the reflection on her nose, the light reflection on the lips, highlights on the teeth, putting in the eyelashes, things like that. And I'll try to do as many of those as I can in this last session here. But I wanted to do this. I wanted to add a highlight to the top part of the palette, and that has not been done yet. So let's switch to my palette here, as I'm going to my palette to paint on a palette, interestingly enough. I'll take titanium white, and we'll take a little bit of Indian yellow, and those two colors should work pretty well. But let's also add some raw sienna and a little bit of pyrrole orange, and then some more titanium white. And we'll kind of see what this color looks like as we put that on top using a small round brush. This is a size 0. And let me show this to you on the white card. If we, yeah, I think we'll be able to see that in this other shot here. Camera 2, there we go. So here it is on the white card right there. And we're going to just kind of start on the left hand side here and get that highlight in on top of the palette. All right, so right there. All right, we don't want to have this line going all the way to the bottom, so that's important that we don't overdo that. Let's just zoom in a little bit so you can see more of what's going on here. All right, so we just blend that by using our finger just to soften it up. Then we get that line going through the brushes behind on the other side. And then we'll continue it on up here. And then as we get up there to the top, let's change the color so it's just a little bit darker. So add some raw sienna and a little bit of pyrrole orange, maybe a little bit of raw umber dark as well, just so it's not too vibrant of a color. All right, so now we can basically mix any shade in between because we have this really dark color and then all the way to light. And I always like to have these little micro nuances on my palette at any given time. So I've got a darker version of this and a lighter version. I can always switch into that. All right, so now let's go ahead and we will continue this highlight on now that it's a little bit of a darker tint. All right, so we're continuing that on the top. Maybe we can go just a little bit lighter. Let's do that. Back to our palette. And we'll get a little bit of a lighter version of this. And go back here again. All right. So I want to make sure I'm getting a little bit of a highlight on the top edge. Some of that light's kind of shining through. And we want to have that edge kind of hit and miss, you know, not solid all the way across. Maybe you're like that. Have it solid maybe for a certain part of it, and then, you know, like there, it missed a little area. But that just gives a little more thickness to the wood. And we could actually do this lower part as well. And just add a little bit of a highlight right there too. All right, so there's a couple little nuances we can do. Now we don't want to have this go too far in because the light's not striking that lower area. This part's in shadow. So it really should just be on the top. Now, if we want to go the extra mile, we could put in a little highlight right here on the thumb hole. And maybe just get a little bit of a lighter color. Yeah, so just, again, it adds a little bit more believability to it. Can soften it up just like that. All right, that's good. So now as I'm looking at the paint brushes, let's just refine that a little bit. Somehow we've got, I don't know, some sort of a shape there. I'm not sure what it is. Let's add some titanium white and raw umber dark to this. And we'll go back to the shot here and just imagine we've got some sort of a brush over here. I don't know what that is. Interesting. So yeah, I'm just trying to figure this out. I'll just imagine this is some other kind of a brush with lighter bristles. It's really difficult to see in the reference photo, but we have a brush in front of the other brush. And then there's like a little splotch of something, which will take some raw umber dark and a little bit of alizarin crimson. And let's go back to this and we'll just kind of blend that in right there. No, I don't like that. Let's just leave that off. I'm going to not put that dot in even though it's in the reference photo. A little bit of a blend here. Alright, we'll just leave it like that. And then let's use this color just to strengthen the shadow here under the fingers. Okay, so just blend that in a little bit. Okay, that's good. Now, I want to do a little bit of work on her eyelashes. So let's do that. We need to get some nuances in there and just very faintly suggest them in. So let's do that, and we'll take some of this color we just mixed, which is very convenient. Get this small brush. Now you could use a smaller brush if you want. If you want to go with a 10-aught or 3-aught or something, you can do that. I'm just using this 1-aught regular size 0 brush because you can really twist your bristles to a point, and that's how you can get the details. If you see how this looks on my hand, I don't know if this will focus, but just look at how I have that twisted to a point. And that's what you want to do to really get the details in. But I'm just adding a couple little eyelashes in here. I don't want to overdo them, and you want to make sure you have this as a glaze, so maybe about 80% matte medium, 20% paint, and you could just suggest these eyelashes in there. It can easily be overdone, so you just want to again go very, very gentle with this. As a matter of fact, I'll have to soften up part of what I did here. It's a little strong. Okay, let's just soften this up a little bit. And add a little bit of naphtha red. And we'll bring that into this lighter tint. So let's show this to you on the white card. It's a little challenging because you don't have the white card up where it should be, or down where it should be. All right, let's just switch this around and get back to the other. All right, let's get back to that area. So I just want to get a little bit of shading here and darken this area to the left side of her eye. And then I want to blend into something a little lighter. So I'll just put my brush into this lighter part of the mix here. let's go back and soften that up. Okay, that's a little too dark. Let's lighten that up again. Yeah, that's good. Doing a little bit of wet on wet just to blend that corner out. So we want that corner just a bit darker than what it was. And then a little shading to the right of that hair. So it's all like the compound effect of adding many, many different nuances. Darken this little area above her eye a bit, building up some shading there. And now we're going to add a little bit of shading here on the forehead, just suggesting that hair right there. And as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and move up to the top of her hair. And we'll want to get in a few nuances there. So I'm going to rinse off my brush. I take some raw umber dark. Just a bit of Indian yellow and then some titanium white, and it's going to make kind of a nice brownish tint, slight golden tone that we can incorporate into the top there. All right, so we're just blending. Okay, that's a little too dark. Let's soften that up by adding more matte medium. And I sometimes will take what's on my brush and then dip it into matte medium and start a new mix, because it's easier to lighten it up that way. Then I can just kind of ping pong back between those different areas. Just move this up a little bit so we can see that. And now we add a little bit of shading right up here to show, you know, those strands of hair. It's not strands sticking out. It's like the hair is, you know, parted, and we're seeing it foreshortened up there. But we want to get that striation plus a little shading around it. We can get a couple strands on the side as well using the same color, but by this point you probably have quite a bit in there. You might want to put in a couple of little strands on the side here. You can dab them a little bit just to soften them up. See, so they can be darker as you place them down, but then you can dab it to lift up some of the color off of the canvas, and that helps to just give it a bit more nuance. There we go. Just to give it a little more believability. So you don't have to have the hair strands like really ultra thin or detailed, and I would rather that you go really light. Notice how light this is, and I want to show this to you on the white card really quick. So this is what this glaze looks like. That's how dark it is. It's pretty translucent, but the brush pressure is a huge part of getting that nuance. So you just graze on the canvas, you put your hand firmly on there, you just rest it on there, and you just lightly touch it, and it all is with the amount of pressure. You see, so if I, for example, put down that much pressure, you can see how dark it is, but I'm not, I'm touching it very lightly so the line remains thin. And again, I can dab it, which softens it up more. And you can suggest many thin strands of hair just by putting in these lighter lines. The lines don't have to be so thin, but if you make your mixture of paint very translucent, so you get a lighter value, you can suggest that some of these strands of hair are out of focus. So sometimes realism is implied by not more detail, but less detail. Sometimes less is more. And it certainly holds true in many of these nuances. So that's what we're trying to achieve right here, getting in the effect of kind of frizzy hair just by putting in lighter glazes working around. And so you can see, how that works on the perimeter of her hair. and it really creates a nice effect. All right, so as we look at this here, I'm just going to step back. Maybe we'll do just a couple of nuances on that side of her clothing here. And I do want to make sure, you know, I've got the pencil lines taken out. Now, if you have a couple of pencil lines that remain in your painting, it's not a huge deal. I mean, sometimes it's kind of nice that people can see your process, you know, and see that you sketched it out first before you painted it. You'll have to be the judge of aesthetically whether, you know, you want to have some of the pencil lines remain. I like it if they're maybe in more nondescript areas that are not as important, like, you know, the arms and things like that. I don't usually want them to be showing in the face, and most of the time they're not going to show up in the face anyway, because the face is where I'm going to put most of the detail work, you know, so that's where I'm going to be putting so many layers that the pencil lines usually get covered up. But it still is nice, you know, to have some of these pencil lines covered, and we see a little bit of on her arms. So I'll just take some titanium white and mix it in with a little bit of this raw umber dark and raw sienna color, you know, that we've already had on the palette. So it's some of these tints we've used the same initial color that we use for the top of the palette, and then we're just adding this to the edge. And let's see how this works as we put this on here. So I'll just kind of blend that in. And just kind of smooth that out a little bit. Just like that. Yeah, see, and that's nice. Even just doing that, it gives it a better sense of doneness. Okay, so at this stage here, I'm feeling good about this painting. And I'm going to sign it. I think we've got, actually, I tell you what, now there's one last thing. I want to take care of one last thing, and that would be in the background. So you know how it is. Sometimes you feel like you're done, and then like, nope, wait, there's one more thing. Okay, this is the one more thing right there. This shape coming down is a little too sharp of an edge, and I want to smooth that out. I think that could be resolved a little bit more. So let's take care of that. So this would be good for you if you have, you know, any areas in the background that need resolving. And I feel like this glaze we've had from before, you know, the titanium white, raw sienna, Indian yellow, raw umber dark could work well. But let's just add a bit more raw umber dark to it, just so it's not too vibrant. And then we'll add just a little bit of Indian yellow, which is kind of canceling out more of that reddish tint we had from before. And I think this might work, so let's give it a shot and see. We're using a flat brush. This would be about a 1/2 inch 5/8 flat. And we're mixing some matte medium, and we're going a little bit lighter over the darker area. So let's try this out and see how this works. Okay, so right now the color that I'm applying, it's close, but it needs to have more white in the mix. So let's add some more white. It's got to be a little more opaque to cover. And then let's add a little matte medium, because I think I added a bit too much white. And let's give it another shot. Okay, that's closer. So this should be enough that we can kind of diffuse this edge and just soften up that shape a bit. I flipped my brush over to get some of that paint off of the other side onto the canvas. And then we can blend upward in the other direction and kind of smooth that out, then use our finger to finish off. And with that, you can get a really, really nice gradient. Okay, so that's all there is to it. Yeah, that's all there is to it. I'll just kind of blend this into the rest of this color here. See, I'm just using some short choppy strokes to kind of smooth it in. So you can get a sense for that. That's good. And now I just want to make sure that I have some of this stronger, more vibrant color on the other side here. That wasn't the only occasion of that color. Just add a little bit on this other side. Get a bit of an optical mix going up there into that blue. Yeah, it's just kind of smoothing things out a bit. All right. So that's good. So with that, then, let's sign this portrait. Now, signing your portrait is kind of an art all in of itself. And I don't want you to get, too hung up about how to do it, worry too much about it. But, we want to make sure that we're signing it in the right place. And most of the time I would recommend signing it on the right-hand side. But if you have a lot of visual weight on the right-hand side, there isn't a lot of room, then sometimes it works better to sign it on the left. In this instance here, we have kind of equal space on both sides, so I think I'm going to sign it on the right, but you might decide to sign yours on the left. And again, that can come out to the aesthetics. If you don't have a lot of room visually, it might look better to sign it on the left. But here we have a good open space to do it. So that's where I'm going to sign it. And since the background's fairly light here, I'm going to go with a darker color. And I like to make my signature so you can read it. It's legible. If somebody wants to see who painted this portrait, they can find me on my painting. But I don't like it to stand out so much that it detracts from it visually. So I like to use a color that matches the overall scheme of the painting. And usually I'll take the background color and just make it several shades darker. And that's what I'll choose for my color. If the background is dark, I'll go light on dark, but this is a light background, so I'm going to go dark on light. So let's go ahead and get the camera set up here for that, and let's mix a color for the background, for the signature. I'm going to take ultramarine blue to start with, and Romber dark. And I like to make my signature paint a little more opaque, so I add some titanium white, and that just helps it to, go on there better. Because it's really hard to sign something with a glaze. If it's very translucent, it's just not gonna show up. So we got to make this more opaque here. And I think this color could work well. And I could also use a green color too. Let's say I wanted to just bring in some of the greenish clothing color into that area. Let's do that. Let's just make it kind of a nice green. So I'll add some Indian yellow. Just be a little different on this one. There's no hard and fast rules. There's some guidelines, but you just want to do something that's gonna work for you. And we'll add a little bit of titanium white just to lighten it up a bit more, and a bit of raw sienna to warm it up. Get a nice color that you can be happy with. This is what I'm looking at here. And I like to make sure it's fluid, so I'm just going to spray my palette here with my little mister. Make sure it's fluid, but not too fluid. And then I will roll some of the paint off of the brush. Now again, you could use a thinner brush than this. Let's try that. Okay. And we'll go ahead and sign this. And I like to put up that signature high enough so it's not really close to the edge, just, in case the frame would cover it up. The frame overlaps a little bit. So somewhere right about here. Well, some people like to use a pen to sign it, but I like to keep everything the same medium. I like to use acrylic because then I can get the colors to be the way I want. So this is the way I'm going to do it. I take my time. sign your painting the way you sign your painting. And I like to put in the year because it's helpful, you know, when you're looking at your artwork, you know exactly when you did it. There's no doubt about it. You don't have to look at a chart or look at the back of the painting if you put information on the back. You just know right away when you look at it. So I like to put in the year. And that's all there is to it. So that's a signed painting. Here we go. So I want to say thank you so much for taking this portrait challenge. Again, I'm proud of you. You put in the work. You signed your painting. And now I hope that you'll be able to take it and, like I advised, put it up on your wall or leave it on the easel and just thank God for what you accomplished and genuinely compliment yourself on the things you've done well. That kind of encouragement is fuel for continued portrait painting. And I'm hoping, I'm trusting that this is just the beginning of the journey for you, that you desire to paint more portraits. You want to paint portraits of your grandchildren or loved ones, or maybe do some commission paintings, as many of my students have done. Maybe enter your work into shows and win awards. A lot of my students have done that as well too. But with that, I'd like to encourage you to take this journey further. You know, this doesn't have to be the end of what we do here in the school or our relationship together. I would like to continue to mentor you, to teach you, take you further in your portrait painting skills, because there's so many aspects of portrait painting that we can continue to grow on and learn and get better at. You know, skin tones, shading, hair, wrinkles, hands, you know, the nuances of the eyes, composing, getting the proportions, the likeness, and all these different aspects. And I want to help you with that. And so with that, I'd like to extend to you the opportunity to join me and many other students in the Realistic Acrylic All Access membership. Now that is a membership I started back in 2017. And we have a wonderful community of artists there today who love taking the classes that I put into the school. They love encouraging each other in the community we have on Facebook, and where we meet on Zoom on Tuesdays. And I'd like you to be a part of that as well. All right, so the All Access membership is a way for you to continue to grow in your skills, overcome frustrations that might arise in your portrait painting, because let's face it, portrait painting is challenging, and give you a place where you can learn with other artists. Learn techniques on how to use brushes, and you know what kind of palettes work best, or what kind of brushes work best, what kind of mediums might work best for you. It's all there in the school. Now what the All Access membership is it's primarily several courses I put together, and I have 20 different courses covering all aspects of portrait painting. We have Paint Your First Amazing Acrylic Portrait, my first class I taught back in 2017. We've got Shade with Acrylic Like a Master to help you get better at shading. We've got a couple of skin tones classes. We have some classes just specifically showing you how to paint certain portraits, like a beautiful young woman and a colonial portrait. We've got all the Portrait Painting Challenge master classes, everything from 2020 on to the present. And that's the premium version with all the bonus videos. Now, I've talked about the bonus videos before during these lessons that I've done here that I've uploaded to my YouTube channel, but there's more footage that I wasn't able to get onto the YouTube channel, but it's all there in the school. And not only that, but it's sequentially ordered, so you can skip past from lesson to lesson to lesson without ads. Everything's there sequentially, very organized, and it'll help fill in any missing gaps if you wanted to go back and do any touch-ups on your portrait. You know, you might have wondered, how do I get some of these finer nuances in there? Even though you sign your painting, you could go back and you could do some touch-ups, or maybe you want to take a different challenge. You know, I have several in there from the previous years. We have Larry, Maka, Cora, different people we painted. And you might want to do those portraits as well with all the bonus videos included. All right, so you get all those classes, but not only that, you get access to our Facebook group. And our Facebook group is a wonderful place where just all access students meet, share their latest ideas, share their wins, when they're doing well, share their frustrations and get help, and there's times where you might have a question, you're working on a sketch and you're not sure about the likeness. You can ask the students and they'll give you tips on how to overcome some of the areas that you need improvement on. I hop into the group as well regularly. I'll give you my input, answer your questions there. But not only that, you get the live weekly group critiques. So every week, as a member of the All Access membership, you get to join other students with me on Zoom, and we basically put our artwork up. Now, if you took part in our critiques that we did here for the portrait challenge, it's very much like that same format, only you have the experienced All Access students in there, and we really give you some great tips on how to improve your portrait, take it to the next level. Of course, I'm there too, and I'll be giving you my tips, my encouragement. And you know how we do things. We always critique in a very positive way, a very uplifting way. We're never going to make you feel less than. We're going to give you practical tips, not only share, what might need improvement, but we'll share with you how to do it. And we'll also share with you what's working well on your portrait so you can feel encouraged and know that you're making progress. So you get that, and then you also get the questions and answers with me in all of the classes. You can leave a question anytime you want to know more, and then I hop in there and I answer your questions for you. Oh, and last but not least, there are the personal critiques too, and the students love the personal critiques. So, if you want to go a little bit deeper and have just kind of one-on-one, have me critique your portrait, you could submit that within the message board within the school, and then I'll go ahead and comment, and I'll actually record a personal video just for you, showing you how to, take your portrait to the next level. Again, show you what's working, show you how you can improve it. And in some instances, I'll actually do like a Photoshop overlay showing you what color mixtures to use. I mean, we really get deep in it. I try to hold back nothing that I can that would help you to make your portrait better. Now, the personal critiques are available only for the higher level of membership. It's not available in the workshop level, the lowest tier of membership, but it is available as an option to you. So you get all those different things, and it's just part of the membership to help you grow, to take your portraits to the next level. And again, I would love to have you take part. So the invitation to join the membership will be coming very, very soon. Currently, as I record this video, the membership is closed, but I'll be opening that up in just a couple of days, and you'll be able to watch that. If you're signed up for the challenge, you'll get the email invitation, or you can join the school as an All Access member. All right, so again, I encourage you to join. I encourage you, whatever you decide, even if you don't join, I encourage you to continue on with your portrait painting. And that's the way you're going to be able to improve, is to keep doing it. And if you get a sense of enjoyment and satisfaction from portrait painting, and you feel like you have something to offer to the world, something of yourself to encourage others, to encourage your family members, encourage your community, well, I would encourage you to continue and use that gift God has given you. All right, so thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of this. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of your portraits, cheering you on, and seeing how God uses your gift to beautify the world around you. Well, thank you so much. God bless you. This is mattphilleo for the Portrait Painting Challenge, and I will talk to you soon. God bless. Take care.